music. My dear brother, my precious sister in Christ, have you ever wondered why some people seem to effortlessly attract wealth while others struggle endlessly despite working just as hard? What if I told you that right now, at this very moment, there is a divine transaction taking place that could completely transform your financial reality? I know it sounds almost too extraordinary to believe, but stay with me until the end of this video, because what you're about to discover might not only surprise you, it might actually change everything you thought you knew about prosperity and abundance. My name is Joseph Murphy, and today we're going to explore something profound, something that exists beyond the realm of ordinary financial advice and budgeting strategies. We're talking about a supernatural transfer of wealth that's happening right now as you watch this video. Not tomorrow, not next week, not when the economy improves or when you finally get that promotion. Right now, in this exact moment, there is money with your name on it being released from the infinite storehouse of divine abundance directly into your life. But before we begin, please hit the like button and let me know where in the world you're watching from today. It's always fascinating seeing who's joining us from around the world. And if you haven't already, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future videos. Now, I understand you might be thinking, I've heard these promises before. I've tried positive thinking. I've worked hard. I've prayed. And yet, my bank account still looks the same. Has this ever happened to you? You feel stuck in a financial cycle that never seems to break no matter what you do. Here's what most people don't realize. Your presence here right now is not an accident. The fact that you clicked on this video, that something drew you to this exact message at this precise moment in time, that's not coincidence. That's divine timing. Your spirit recognizes something that your conscious mind hasn't fully grasped yet. There's a frequency, an energetic alignment happening right now between your deepest desires for financial freedom and the unlimited resources of the universe. The divine intelligence that created everything from the stars in the sky to the intricate patterns in nature. This same intelligence is orchestrating a supernatural shift in your financial circumstances. The question is not whether God can send you money. The question is, are you ready to receive it? You see, most people approach wealth from a place of lack, from a mindset of scarcity. They pray for money while simultaneously believing deep down that they're not worthy of it, or that it's somehow spiritual to struggle financially. What if everything you've been taught about money and spirituality has been fundamentally backwards? What if the universe is actually designed to shower you with abundance, and the only thing blocking that flow is your own resistance to receiving it? The ancient wisdom teaches us that we live in a universe of infinite abundance where there is more than enough for everyone. The same power that grows a seed into a mighty tree that turns autumn leaves into spring blossoms. This creative intelligence wants to multiply the resources in your life. But there's a specific way to align yourself with this divine flow of prosperity. And that's exactly what we're going to explore together today. What you're about to learn goes far beyond conventional manifestation techniques or simple positive affirmations. We're talking about tapping into a spiritual law that's been working since the beginning of time. A divine principle that governs the flow of abundance in ways that most people never discover. You see, there's a hidden truth that separates those who live in constant financial struggle from those who seem to effortlessly attract prosperity. And here's what creates the real impact. T in your financial life. When you shift from a scarcity mindset that hoards and protects what little you have to an abundance mindset that plants and expects multiplication, you literally change the energetic frequency you're broadcasting to the universe. Put down in the comments, I believe in multiplication. If you're ready to embrace this principle in your own financial journey, when we talk about divine provision, we're not speaking in vague generalities or abstract spiritual concepts that sound nice, but don't touch your actual life. We're talking about real money for real bills. That rent payment that's coming due next week, God is sending the money for it. The mortgage that keeps you awake at night wondering how you'll cover it. Provision is already on its way. That car payment, those medical bills that have been piling up, the groceries you need to feed your family, the electricity bill, the water bill, the repairs that can't wait any longer. Every single one of these concrete needs is being addressed right now in the spiritual realm. This specificity matters because it transforms prayer from a general hope into a targeted expectation. Too many people approach divine abundance as if it's some mystical force that might randomly bless them someday with something nice. But the true revelation comes when you understand that the universe responds to the actual details of your life. Your struggles aren't invisible. Your needs aren't too small or too mundane for divine attention. In fact, it's precisely these everyday financial pressures that become the canvas on which supernatural provision loves to demonstrate its power. Here's where the transformation in your thinking needs to happen. Most people operate from a reactive position, waiting until they're desperate before they cry out for help. They wait until the bills are overdue, until the notices are read, until the impression is unbearable. But divine provision operates on a completely different timeline than human panic. The hidden truth behind supernatural abundance is that it moves preemptively. It anticipates your needs before you even articulate them. It positions resources in your path before you know you'll need them. It creates solutions to problems that haven't fully manifested yet. Think about the impact this understanding has on your entire approach to financial stress. When you realize that provision isn't racing to catch up with your needs, but is actually ahead of them, preparing the way, orchestrating circumstances behind the scenes, everything shifts. You stop living in constant reaction mode, scrambling and stressed. You start living from a place of trust, knowing that as needs arise, the supply to meet them is already in motion. This isn't naive optimism. This is engaging with a spiritual principle that operates with precision and reliability. The journey from scarcity to abundance isn't about waiting for your circumstances to change and then believing. It's about believing first, shifting your internal state from lack to expectation, and then watching your external circumstances rearrange themselves to match your new consciousness. Abundance isn't something you chase or hunt down. It's something that flows naturally when you remove the internal blockages of doubt, fear, and unworthiness. Overflow doesn't require you to work harder or hustle more desperately. It requires you to open wider, to receive more fully, to trust more deeply that the universe is designed to support you, not starve you. This is the decision point that separates those who experience occasional blessings from those who live in perpetual provision. Write in the comments, overflow is my new normal. If you're making that internal shift right now, there's an ancient promise that speaks of windows in heaven opening so wide that blessings pour out in such abundance you literally cannot contain them all. Now, I want you to really picture what that means for a moment. We're not talking about barely enough trickling down to cover your needs. We're not talking about a slow drip that requires you to ration and worry. We're talking about a flood, a rushing river of provision that doesn't just meet your needs, but overruns them completely. This is the level of abundance that the universe is actually designed to deliver when you align yourself properly with its flow. Most people have been conditioned to think small when it comes to prosperity. They pray for just enough to make it through the month, just enough to avoid disaster, just enough to get by. But that mindset itself becomes the limitation. The universe doesn't respond to your lack. It responds to your expectation. When you expect barely enough, that's precisely what manifests. But when you shift your expectation to overflow, to more than enough, to abundance, that spills over into blessing others, you literally change the spiritual circuitry through which provision flows into your life. Here's the revelation that creates massive transformation in people's financial journeys. Abundance isn't just about money appearing randomly. It's about divine orchestration of relationships, opportunities, and ideas that create sustainable wealth. Behind the scenes of every major financial breakthrough, there's always a connection point, a divine appointment, where the right person crosses your path at exactly the right moment. Think about how most significant opportunities in life actually unfold. They come through people. A conversation at the right time, an introduction that seemed coincidental, someone who saw potential in you that you didn't even see in yourself. Right now, there are individuals being positioned to enter your life who will become catalysts for your financial elevation. Higher paying opportunities that match your actual worth, not the diminished value others have assigned to you. Clients who don't just tolerate your fees, but eagerly invest in your services because they recognize true value. Business deals that don't just meet your projections, but exceed them in ways that surprise you. Investment opportunities that generate returns far beyond typical market rates. These aren't fantasies. These are the natural results of aligning with divine favor and supernatural provision. But here's where the hidden truth becomes crucial to understand. These opportunities don't come to people who are passively waiting and hoping. They come to those who are actively receptive, who have prepared their minds to recognize divine appointments when they appear. You might meet someone today who seems insignificant in the moment, but that connection could become the doorway to your greatest financial breakthrough. You might receive an idea that feels almost too simple, but that idea contains the seed of steady income streams that could flow for years. The impact of understanding this principle is profound because it means you stop waiting for some dramatic external event to change your circumstances. You start living with heightened awareness recognizing that every day holds potential for divine connections. Every conversation could be significant. Every new person you meet might be carrying a piece of your financial puzzle. Write in the comments, I'm ready for divine connections. If you're opening yourself to this level of supernatural orchestration, now I want to go even deeper into something that many people don't realize is blocking their financial breakthrough. There are invisible forces at work in your life that have nothing to do with your work ethic, your intelligence, or your education. I'm talking about spiritual patterns that have been operating in the background, often for generations, keeping you locked in cycles of financial struggle, no matter how hard you try to break free. These aren't just bad habits or unfortunate circumstances. These are actual spiritual atmospheres of poverty, lack, and debt that attach themselves to individuals and families, creating resistance against abundance. Think about your family history for a moment. Have you noticed patterns that seem to repeat across generations? Parents who struggled financially, grandparents who never quite made it, siblings who can't seem to get ahead no matter what they do. This isn't coincidence and it's not genetic. These are spiritual inheritances, unseen agreements with lack that get passed down through family lines until someone decides to break the cycle. The hidden truth is that you have the authority right now to sever these connections, to declare that the pattern of poverty stops with you, that you refuse to carry forward the financial limitations of previous generations. This breaking isn't passive. It requires a conscious decision, a spiritual act of severing ties with scarcity consciousness. When you actively reject the spirit of lack and debt, when you refuse to accept struggle as your inevitable destiny, you create a rupture in the spiritual atmosphere around your finances. That rupture becomes the opening through which something entirely new can enter. Spirits of plenty, success, genuine wealth, and overflow. These aren't just nice words. These are actual energetic frequencies that begin operating in your life, attracting resources, opening doors, and creating opportunities that simply weren't available while you were operating under the old spiritual paradigm. But here's where the journey takes a crucial turn. Breaking free from poverty consciousness is only half of the transformation. The other half is developing the wisdom to actually steward the wealth that's coming your way. I've seen countless people experience financial miracles only to lose everything within months because they didn't have the internal infrastructure to manage abundance. Divine provision without divine wisdom is like pouring water into a broken vessel. It flows in, but it doesn't stay. This is why the real breakthrough isn't just about money showing up. It's about you becoming a completely different person in relationship to money. It's about learning to save when old pattern was to spend everything immediately. It's about understanding investment when your family history taught you to hide money under the mattress. It's about growing wealth systematically rather than hoping for another windfall. And perhaps most revolutionary of all, it's about maintaining generosity and giving even as abundance increases. Recognizing that the flow of prosperity requires both receiving and releasing the impact of this dual transformation, breaking spiritual bondage while simultaneously building financial wisdom, creates sustainable wealth rather than temporary windfalls. Put down unbreaking the cycle now. If you recognize that this is your moment to end generational patterns and step into a completely new financial identity, what good is money flowing into your life if your mind is still tormented by fear? What value is there in supernatural provision if you're still lying awake at 3 Dundee in the morning, heart racing, stomach tight with anxiety about how you'll survive next month? This is the hidden battle that most people fighting for financial breakthrough never address. They focus entirely on getting money while their internal state remains locked in perpetual stress and worry. But here's the revelation that changes everything. Peace isn't something that arrives after the money shows up. Peace is actually the frequency that allows money to flow freely into your life. Think about it from an energetic perspective. Worry and stress create contraction. They make you grip tightly, hoard desperately, and operate from fear. That contracted state blocks the natural flow of abundance because the universe responds to openness, not desperation. When you can rest in the deep, knowing that you have a source that will never abandon you, never run dry, never fail you, regardless of what your bank account currently shows, you create an internal atmosphere of receptivity. That receptivity is magnetic. It draws provision toward you rather than repelling it through frantic energy. This isn't about pretending everything is fine when it's not, or putting on a fake smile while you're drowning in debt. This is about touching something deeper than your circumstances, a fundamental trust in the benevolent nature of the universe itself. The same creative intelligence that beats your heart without you thinking about it, that grows your hair, that heals your wounds automatically, that keeps the planets in orbit. This intelligence is intimately invested in your well-being. It hasn't brought you this far to abandon you. Now, every moment of your life has been held by a power greater than your struggles. And that power isn't going anywhere. The transformation from anxiety to peace is a decision, not a feeling that randomly descends on you. It's a choice to stop letting your current balance dictate your emotional state. It's a refusal to let bills steal your sleep. It's a recognition that worrying has never added a single dollar to your account, but trusting has opened doors you never could have forced open through stress alone. When you release the burden of trying to control everything through human effort alone, and instead rest in divine provision, you actually create space for miracles to manifest. Now, I want you to do something powerful with me right now. I want you to speak something out loud. And I mean actually say these words audibly, not just in your mind. There's tremendous power in verbal declaration, in hearing your own voice align with spiritual truth. So say this with me right now. God is sending me money. I receive it now. My hands are open and my heart is ready. Say it again, but this time with even more conviction, more certainty, as if you're not hoping for it, but claiming what's already yours. This isn't wishful thinking. This is spiritual technology, activating the law of faith through spoken word. Write in the comments, I spoke it out loud. If you just made that declaration with me, there's something profound that happens when you speak a truth once, then speak it again with even greater conviction. It's not about the words themselves changing. It's about you changing as you speak them. Each time you declare something with increasing intensity, you're not trying to convince God or the universe. You're convincing the deepest parts of yourself, overriding years of programming that told you abundance wasn't for you, that wealth was for other people, that you should be content with struggle. That old programming doesn't disappear with a whisper. It requires force, volume, emotional energy behind your words. This is the hidden truth about why some declarations transform lives while others evaporate into nothing. Intensity matters. When you speak something softly, timidly, almost apologetically, you are signaling to your subconscious that you don't really believe it. But when you raise your voice, when you put power behind your words, when you do something as an undeniable fact, rather than a hopeful wish, you create a seismic shift in your internal landscape. Your nervous system responds differently. Your brain chemistry actually changes. The frequency you're broadcasting to the universe amplifies. So I want you to say it again right now. But this time, I want you to say it like you mean it. Like you're staking your entire future on the truth of these words. Say it loud enough that if someone else is in your house, they might wonder what's happening. God is sending me money. I receive it now. My hands are open and my heart is ready. Feel the difference. Feel how speaking with intensity creates momentum, builds faith, strengthens your conviction with each repetition. This isn't empty ritual. This is spiritual technology that's been used by every successful person throughout history, whether they recognize the mechanics of it or not. Now, here's where the transformation becomes locked in, where temporary enthusiasm becomes permanent reality. There's a principle of agreement that operates in the spiritual realm with remarkable precision. When two or more consciousnesses align around a single intention, the power doesn't just double, it multiplies exponentially. Right now, as you speak these words and I speak them with you, we're creating an agreement that transcends physical distance. Your faith combined with my faith creates a spiritual resonance that reaches into realms where resources are held and releases them into manifestation. This is why collective prayer has always been more powerful than solitary hope. This is why gatherings of believers throughout history have witnessed miracles that individuals praying alone rarely see. The agreement creates a seal, a lock that prevents doubt from creeping back in and stealing what was just planted. When you agree with someone else that provision is coming, that money is being released, that your financial breakthrough is guaranteed, you're not just hoping anymore. You're establishing spiritual law. What has been asked in faith is received. What has been stated with conviction will manifest. What has been prayed in agreement must be answered. This isn't arrogance. This is understanding how the universe actually operates. Type in the comments, it is sealed. If you feel that shift happening right now, here's something that will challenge everything you've been taught about how long miracles take to manifest. Most people think that supernatural provision is some distant event that might happen eventually if they're lucky enough and spiritual enough. But I'm telling you right now, based on spiritual law and countless testimonies I've witnessed over the years, you're going to see evidence of this financial shift within the next 24 to 72 hours, not months from now, not years down the road. Within the next 3 days, you will receive a sign that divine provision is moving on your behalf. Now, I know that sounds almost too specific, too concrete. You might be thinking, How can anyone make such a definite claim about timing? But here's the hidden truth. When faith is activated at this level of intensity, when agreement is established, when declarations are made with conviction, the spiritual realm responds immediately. The delay isn't on God's end. The delay has always been on the human end in the time it takes for us to align our consciousness with what's already available. Once that alignment happens, manifestation follows rapidly because the resistance has been removed. This money that's coming won't arrive through your normal channels. That's how you'll know it's supernatural rather than just your regular income. It might be a check in the mail you weren't expecting. It might be someone reaching out to pay back an old debt you completely forgotten about. It could be a job offer with a signing bonus, a client who suddenly says yes to a proposal you thought was dead, an investment that unexpectedly pays out, or even a refund from somewhere you didn't know owed you anything. The point is, it will come in a way that makes you pause and recognize that only divine orchestration could have arranged this exact provision at this exact moment. But receiving this miracle isn't a one-time event that you passively wait for. There's a discipline required, a spiritual practice that keeps the channel open and your faith activated for the next 7 consecutive days. I want you to listen to this message first thing when you wake up. Not after you check your phone. Not after you scroll through social media. Not after you let the world dump its anxieties into your consciousness. Make this the very first input your mind receives each morning. Why? Because the first thoughts and words you encounter when you wake up set the trajectory for your entire day. Think about the impact of beginning every morning for a full week with declarations of abundance, with reminders that provision is moving with spiritual reinforcement, that you are not alone in your financial journey. Each morning you're essentially reprogramming your subconscious mind, overriding the old operating system of lack with a new system of expectation and trust. By day 7, you won't just be speaking these truths. You'll be living from them. Your posture will change. Your decisions will shift. Opportunities you would have missed before will suddenly become visible because your consciousness has been trained to recognize them. Write in the comments 7 days of faith if you're committing to this practice right now when that money arrives. And trust me, it will. You have a responsibility that goes beyond yourself. Your breakthrough isn't just for you. It's fuel for someone else's faith. This is how spiritual communities have operated for thousands of years. One person's testimony becomes another person's hope. One person's miracle becomes proof that God is still moving, still providing, still showing up in impossible situations. So when you receive that unexpected check, that surprising opportunity, that financial shift that you know came from divine intervention, come back here and tell your story. Don't just say it worked and disappear. Share the details. Tell us how much came. Describe where it came from. Explain what you are facing and how provision showed up at exactly the right moment. These specifics matter because they give concrete evidence to people who are struggling to believe. Someone watching this right now is in the exact same situation you were in before your breakthrough. Your detailed testimony might be the thing that tips them from doubt into faith, from resignation into expectation. That's the power of shared experience of communal witness to divine provision. Think about the impact of creating a space where hundreds, maybe thousands of people are declaring financial breakthroughs and then returning to confirm them. That accumulated faith creates a spiritual momentum that lifts everyone in the community. It's like a rising tide that lifts all boats. When you see person after person sharing real stories about money showing up from nowhere, about jobs materializing out of unexpected conversations, about debts being canceled, mysteriously, it becomes harder and harder to maintain a scarcity mindset. The evidence overwhelms the doubt. This is the hidden truth about why some people experience perpetual miracles while others struggle in isolation. Those who plug into communities of faith, who surround themselves with testimonies of provision, who immerse themselves in an atmosphere where abundance is expected rather than rare, these people experience breakthrough after breakthrough, not because God loves them more, because their consciousness has been shaped by constant reinforcement of what's possible. They live in an ecosystem of belief rather than an environment of cynicism. Your participation in this journey matters more than you realize. When you engage, when you show up, when you add your voice to the collective declaration of faith, you're not just helping yourself. You're strengthening the entire spiritual network. Every like is an agreement. Every person who joins this community is another believer standing in faith. Every time this message gets shared, it reaches someone who desperately needs to hear that financial struggle isn't their permanent destiny. Behind the scenes, invisible connections are being made, divine appointments are being arranged, and a movement of people moving from lack into abundance is being built. Put down in the comments, I'm part of this movement. If you recognize that you're not alone in this journey, let me tell you something that might shake your understanding of randomness and coincidence. The fact that you're watching this right now, at this precise moment in your life, isn't an accident. You didn't stumble upon this message by chance. You weren't scrolling aimlessly when it has appeared. This is a divine appointment, a scheduled meeting between your need and heaven's provision. Behind the scenes, spiritual forces have been orchestrating circumstances to bring you to this exact place at this exact time. Because there's a release happening right now that has your name on it. Think about all the millions of videos you could be watching right now. All the infinite content competing for your attention, yet you're here listening to these specific words about financial breakthrough. That's not luck. That's precision. That's the universe positioning you at the intersection where struggling ends and provision begins. There has been a supply of money with your name on it that's been held in reserve, waiting for the perfect moment of your readiness. And seeds don't produce instant results. They go through a process underground where nothing seems to be happening, but beneath the surface, roots are forming, life is stirring, growth is occurring that you can't see yet. There's a season of waiting and then suddenly breakthrough. That's where you are right now. Those seeds you planted through prayers, through faith, through refusing to give up, even when circumstances looked hopeless, they've been growing all along beneath the surface. And what's about to break through the ground isn't a single sprout. It's a forest of wealth. Abundance so thick, so expansive, so overwhelming that you'll look at it And know this didn't come from your effort alone. This came from supernatural multiplication of every seed of faith you've ever planted. Type in the comments, my harvest is breaking through. If you sense this is your season of reaping what you've sown in faith. Father, I'm calling right now for sudden releases of wealth from places they haven't even explored yet. There are bank accounts they opened years ago and forgot about that have been accumulating value. There are refunds owed to them that are being processed behind the scenes. There are investments they dismissed as failures that are about to turn around dramatically. I pray for surprises when then they check their balance. Deposits they can't immediately explain. Credits that appeared overnight. Money that showed up from sources they didn't even know existed. I speak to people who barely know them. Acquaintances from the past. Distant connections they haven't thought about in years. Let these individuals be moved by divine prompting to reach out with gifts, opportunities, or resources. Sometimes God uses the most unexpected people to deliver provision precisely because their involvement makes it undeniable that supernatural orchestration is at work. No one can claim they earned it or predicted it when money comes from someone they barely remember meeting. Now, I want to go even deeper into what's being broken in the spiritual realm. Right now, there are walls, invisible barriers that have been maintaining lack in their life. These aren't just external circumstances. These are spiritual structures that have been reinforcing limitation, whispering that struggle is normal, that poverty is their destiny. I command those walls to collapse right now. Every barrier that has separated them from abundance, every obstacle that has blocked the flow of divine provision, demolished, shattered, removed permanently. But the most powerful transformation happening right now goes even deeper than your personal situation. This breakthrough isn't just about you getting money. This is about ending a generational cycle that has plagued your family line for decades, maybe even centuries. Think about your parents, your grandparents, your great-grandparents. How many of them struggled financially their entire lives? How many worked themselves to exhaustion and still never got ahead? How many died with more debt than assets, leaving nothing behind but stories of hardship? That cycle, that pattern, that spiritual inheritance of poverty ends today. Not with the next generation, not with her children someday, with you right now in this moment. You're the one who breaks the chain. You're the generational curse breaker. The decision you're making today to receive divine provision, to reject poverty consciousness, to step into abundance. That decision changes the trajectory not just for you, but for your children, your grandchildren, your great-grandchildren, who aren't even born yet. The impact of what's happening right now ripples forward through time, creating a completely different financial legacy for everyone who comes after you. Your kids won't grow up hearing, "We can't afford that," as the constant refrain of their childhood. Your grandchildren won't inherit debt and struggle. Instead, they'll inherit a family culture of abundance, prosperity, and generosity because you were the one who had the courage to break free. Write in the comments, "The curse stops with me." If you're accepting this responsibility right now, Father, I'm praying for a special kind of favor to rest on their life right now. Not ordinary favor that gets you small advantages, but extraordinary favor that makes people who don't even know why suddenly want to help you, promote you, connect you with opportunities beyond your current level? This is the kind of favor that causes decision makers to remember your name when positions open up, that makes investors interested in your ideas, even though your credentials don't technically qualify you, that creates advocates for you in rooms you've never entered. It's supernatural favor that defies logic and opens doors your resume alone could never unlock. I pray that divine ideas worth millions would begin downloading into their consciousness starting today. Not mediocre thoughts that lead to modest income, but breakthrough concepts that carry the potential for generational wealth. Ideas for businesses, for products, for services, for investments that are so aligned with the current moment that they practically sell themselves. These ideas already exist in the realm of infinite intelligence. And I don't take it lightly that you've given me this time. Here's what I want you to do. If this message resonated with you, if you felt something shift inside as we journey through these truths together, hit that subscribe button right now. This channel exists to consistently feed your faith, to remind you daily of the abundant life available to you, to give you spiritual tools that actually work in the real world. When you subscribe, you're not just following a channel. You're plugging into a community of people actively moving from lack into overflow. And do me a favor, leave a comment below saying, this message was meant for me. When you write those words, you're not just engaging with a video. You're making another declaration, another stake in the ground, marking this moment as significant. Plus, I read every comment. And there's something powerful about seeing hundreds of people all declaring their breakthrough together. Your comment might be exactly what someone else needs to see to believe their own miracle is possible. If this content served you today, show some love with a like. It helps more people who need this message find it. And honestly, it encourages me to keep creating content that pushes past surface level positivity into real spiritual substance. Now, there's another video right here that goes even deeper into the practical steps of sustaining financial breakthrough once it arrives. Because receiving money is one thing, keeping it and growing it is another. Click and continue with me over there. Your journey toward abundance is just